Good morning. Today is the 12th of November 2024 and I'm going to go through today's levels and trading plan. As always, before we start, let's take a look and see what news could move the market today. We haven't got any real high impact news events, but we do have a few medium impact. Fed speaking at 10, 10:15, 2 o'clock, and that's pretty much about it. So just keep an eye on those times if you're trading, just to make sure you manage your risk. Okay, so on my screen we're looking at the S&P E-mini futures and we're on the 1 hour time frame. Grab my pen. And we can see we've had this rather big move up since the elections last week. And if we go over to the daily chart, paints a better picture. You can see just how strong we've been. Big push up on big volume, as you can see just here. So that's our volume candle coming in, and notice the size of the candles. We've got a big wide range candle there, which clears us over the previous all-time highs, and then the candles have just got significantly smaller. We had an inside candle yesterday and a very narrow range doji as well. So on that we can also see decline in volume as well, so showing a little bit of weakness up in this area. I'm just running out of exhaustion, really is what I'm trying to say. Showing a little bit of exhaustion, and you know, we are very far away from both the 50 moving average, the 20 moving average and the 8 moving average. So you can see the daily just loves to hug this 8 moving average, and we never get this far away from it. Obviously last week's elections was an exception, you know, once every 4 years, but we are pretty extended, and I'm expecting a little bit of a pullback into this region. But we can only play what we see on the chart, so it's difficult to go short on a strong bull market. You know, we could potentially just be looking at a bit of a flag pattern right now as well, ready to make the next move up. But I don't really want to go into it with a bias. I want to go into it with a neutral bias, really, and just play what I see on the chart. And that's why I want to go back to the hourly. But if we are watching, we should be watching basically a retest of this area, and we could expect it to pull back to that point at some point. When, I don't know. Could be today, could be tomorrow, could be next week. So this is the hourly time frame now, and we can see we had all of the RSI all the way up, really elevated as well. It's definitely overbought in these regions, and now the RSI has come back down to the middle point as well, and we're kind of just floating along sideways. Doesn't mean now the RSI is down there, you know, we could see another leg back up again, as we just talked about. So don't have any bias, but it's hard really shorting all-time highs, which I'm not going to do. I've done that a couple of times. Some successful, some not so. But what I'm really looking for today is the break and retest of this pre-market high level. Let's just see if I can get a better... That's a better view of the chart. And the reason I like the pre-market high level, it's an area of confluence. You've got tops of candles there, you've got bottoms of these candles, tops and bottoms of these candles here. And we've got a little bit of volume in as well, so maybe we could see it as a rejection point. But if we can get over the pre-market high at 60.31, I'll be looking for a retest long into new all-time highs potentially. We've got yesterday's high we can keep an eye on as well as a potential target. Same if we lose pre-market low, it happens to be yesterday's low as well. I like this area. Hopefully somebody picked off this trade yesterday. I said keep an eye on this area confluence. I marked it up as well at 60.14, and look where the market came down to, exactly to that point, 16.2 the cent. So me, I'd already hit my 2.5. I had 3 losses by the time I got anywhere near there, so I stopped trading for the day. I was trying to catch this long and the breakout of this area, and it didn't work too well. I did say as well in the pre-market, this area confluence is a higher risk trade. And you can see it did hold the level pretty well, and I was in profit in all 3 trades, and it all came against me a couple of times. It came against me here the 3rd time I think it was, so I decided to walk away at that point. However, I'm a bit annoyed with myself. Had I just waited another hour, I would have easily picked up that point. I would have just taken the trade at the point and found a good entry. From memory, is a good entry now. There's a couple of really good entries on that yesterday. Here we go. So if you're looking for the entry, we're watching this level 16.14. That's where it was coming into. In fact, I thought it touched 16.14. Oh, that's today. I thought it didn't look right. Here we go. That's the level I was watching. So it's showing how strong it's there. So there we go. That's better. And had I looked for an entry yesterday, had I not been stopped out several times here, then I would have nailed this entry because that's the area I was watching. So here's a rule. This is my rule as well, and I should stick to it. Just play the hourly levels because these hourly levels work and they work great. And try to apply these higher risk bounces, you know, when the market is clearly in a bit of a downtrend and it's a funny week. It's a hard way to trade, you know, going against the trend. But here we came right into the 60,014 level, exactly what I was watching, or it should have been taken. So the first entry, had I been watching, could have been the break of that green candle. We would have had a little bit of drawdown, but not much. We wouldn't have hit our stop. And then we could have got into a half position there. And then there's a brilliant trade coming up next. Had we waited to come back down to retest that area, notice the volume to the left as well, acting as potential support. We could have taken the break of that candle, nice little buy set up there. We can add the other 50%. And, you know, this would have been an easy 5-hour trade. Let's just do long position. So had I taken that one on the break and just got in with that position, that was 3R. So that's an easy 3R had I just taken that. If I added at this point, let's just do another one. Or you could have even used this as your first entry to be really safe. And let's do that again. And that could have been our stop there, our entry. And we could have easily got, look at that, another 3R. So you could have got 3R out of both of these trades, no matter which one you've taken. Had you added on that one as well, we could have been out at 3, 4, 5R easily. And where did it go? Didn't do much yesterday, just went sideways. And that was basically the only trade. The only trade of yesterday was that level we was watching. And obviously I wasn't watching it because I was already out of the game by that point. So today I'm going to trade much better. Look at that, it came straight back into that area as well. So this is a key area to watch today. And we can see we bounced there as well, and we tried to lose that level, so we did put a newer and low in as well. So today's levels, hang on, let's go back to the hourly. This is where we are now. Okay, so here we go, that's better. Let's just look at the recent stuff. There's no real high levels because we've got is all-time high. We've got the point of control just below us as well, so there's no real levels of volume up there. So I'm watching basically pre-market low area for a bounce. If we lose that area, you know, we tested it once, we tested it twice, and maybe the third time's the charm. If we lose that area and come back and retest it, I'll be looking for a short down to the next level, or I'll be looking for a bounce there, and it'd be similar to how I played, or I should have played that one. If it's a V-shaped bottom, find an entry, maybe half risk, and then look for a nice pullback into that region before it takes off. Pre-market high as well, I quite like the break and retest to continue this uptrend, and that's at 60.30. So 60.14 to 60.10, this region here for a bounce. 60.30 for a break and retest long, and then rejection. Not a big fan of rejecting up here, but I do quite like the break and retest of this level as well for the short. And that's it. Three levels I'm watching really today. I'm going to try and avoid these higher risk bounces and stuff. You know, I do like to have the option of finding a couple of higher risk ones, but I need to manage my risk better. If I went in with quarter or half a risk yesterday, then I would have been around still to play this bounce, but I didn't. I went in full risk, and my rule is 3 trades and I'm done. And that's what happened. I took free losing trades, and by the time you get to your third trade, that's effectively over trading. You know, we just want to get that one move, do the 90-minute work day and walk on and enjoy the rest of the day. Order flow, there's a little bit of divergence coming in right now. Let's just flick over to that. You can see we've got the price is moving, putting in higher highs and higher lows, where the divergence, where the cumulative delta is putting in a bit of a divergence, where we're putting in lower lows and equal highs roughly, but it's definitely putting in lower lows, and you can definitely see a bit of a difference there as well. Using this point here as the reference, these 2 points here, you can see price is moving up, delta is moving down. So what does that mean? Potentially we could be looking at a reversal. We've got plenty of buyers, lots of selling coming in, but the buyers absorbing it all, and so potentially we may see a bit of a rejection up here. It depends who wins this battle. If the buyers win, we'll see price push up. If the sellers win, the prices will push down. So keep an eye on this. Looking at the 30-minute, I don't see any areas of potentially there. 63.31 could be a rejection area, and that happens to be the pre-market high area. Reason I'm looking at, I've seen two, they're not quite aligned, but they're almost aligned, pointers and controls, these yellow bars. Oh, and let's go back to that one. So this is a new indicator I built recently, shows me news events. So if I just clear that, and on my screen it alerts me when there's a major news event coming, and let me just refresh the indicator, and it draws a vertical line on the screen when it sees a news event coming up in the next 15 minutes. It just draws my attention to it, so if I'm in a trade, it'll help me get out of it. So, and I just, as I'm looking at news, I also got it to list today's news as well, so I can just quickly reference that whenever I want to. But this is the important thing, this is the bit I really keep an eye on, the order book, and I'm looking at the size of the orders. So anything with an asterisk here, so you've got star, 60.39, 60.40, these are orders. Oh, we're gone. Go. Okay, not sure what's gone on it. Oh, here's it back. Oh, okay. I'm not sure what happened there. I think my connection just dropped from the server. But anything with asterisks, these ones here, you can see these two ones. These are anything orders over 400 on the ES, and anything above 200 is also listed as well. So I can see large orders and extra large orders. And on the chart, that looks a bit like this. You've got large orders, red lines. You've got extra large orders, the thicker red lines as well. So potentially 60.40 could be an area where there's lots of limit orders sitting, potential sell orders. So keep an eye on that as well later. If market push up, what's at 60.40? That is yesterday's high area. So keep an eye on yesterday's high. And if you're looking for a higher risk rejection, you could just keep an eye on these large orders and see what happens when we get up there. There could be spoofs as well. Put there, and then as soon as you get close to it, they vanish, and then the market continues just to spoof other traders. So there's not really much apart from the divergence we've just seen here. Market's kind of doing the same at the moment. The last 20 minutes or so. Let's just move on to the other tickers quickly. Got a quarter of an hour before the market opens, and if anything changes, I'll quickly flip back to ES. SPY is exactly the same. We're watching for the breakdown of the pre-market low and yesterday's low. Area of confidence as well. Look at that, came straight into that level as well. We was watching yesterday, so hopefully somebody took these levels, and then we can watch for the break and retest of the pre-market high long. Watch for the bounce down here, and watch for the break and retest short. And again, 600 is a nice big psychological round number. We've not had a round number for some time, so potentially we could watch that area for rejection, and that may coincide with those large orders actually we just saw in the order flow up here at 60.40, so probably a similar area. So bear that in mind if we're looking for a potential long, you might want to start looking to take some profits around that area if we're on the break and retest. SPX, no real change. We potentially could use yesterday's low. Yeah, I'm not going to put any more levels in, unless I see more pivots. So 6,000 key area. We kind of there at the moment as well. So market's kind of at its closing point yesterday. So we're probably going to be opening around this area as well. So watch 6,000 key area. It's an area of confidence on here as well. Tops of pivots, bottoms of pivots. If we open above 6,000, we may see a bit of a push up. Watch for a retest that area if we're looking to confirm a long. If we open below 6,000 or drift below 6,000, potentially we can use that as an area of resistance if we're looking for a short, but there's no real shorts what we looked at apart from if we get below yesterday's low area there. Oh, that's yesterday's low there actually. NQ. I've just seen the comments. Hello, good morning. Good morning, Charles. Hopefully you had a good day yesterday and hopefully a good trading day today. I'm trying my best to keep an eye on comments just in case there's no audio. I've had a few times where I've been talking for half an hour and realised there's no audio with plenty of comments. Back to the chart. NQ. I don't know about you, but potentially we're looking at a head and shoulders pattern. Let me just go back to ES in a minute, see whether I can see the same. If this is a head and shoulders pattern, what I always wait for is the break and retest. So we've got the neckline just along at 21 for 137. If we break it and retest it, which is kind of the play we've been watching on ES today as well, that potentially could set up. Even if we lose it quite big, watch it come back up into that area. Let's have a look. Did I miss that on ES? No, there's no head and shoulders pattern there, not what I can see. Could argue the case. A slight shoulder, a slight head, a slight shoulder maybe, or a shoulder there. Yeah, not really. It's more prominent on the NQ. You know, you can clearly see the neckline, you can clearly see the left and right shoulder. If you want to say that's a head and shoulder pattern, man, you know, if I were to just shapen it up a bit. There you go, now it looks better like a head and shoulders pattern. So we could keep an eye on this region. This is a pattern I like playing the most. Break and retest, head and shoulders patterns, and reversals, you know, rejections and bounces are the plays I watch. If we come back down to here, we could watch for a bounce. We could just bounce a bit, or if we break down, that's the break and retest of 21.28. 21.128, basically 21.130. That's a, we can lose that. We have got this pivot here though from yesterday, but notice the lack of volume down there, so just be a bit wary. If we get above pre-market high, then obviously this pattern's invalid and we're going to probably be putting in new all-time highs. Watch for the break and retest of that region into all-time highs. Target wise, 21,300 is a round number, so this region here, first target, maybe second target there, and watch for a break and retest along as we get up there. But that's something to keep an eye on. If we pull back down to here, then we would have completed the pattern. QQQ, I wonder if this has got the same. Yeah, it's got a slight head and shoulders pattern, you could say. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, not the best of patterns, and kind of this bounce here as well is not great. But one thing we can see is we've got this pattern forming as well. Potentially we could be watching that pattern as well if we're not going to head, and we'll see it just narrow down before it picks a direction of break and retest short or break and retest long. Break and retest long is with the trend, so that's got to be the favourite pattern. And so we can watch for a break and retest over pre-market high. And then we've got this area down here as well. This region here to watch. Firstly for a bounce, and then secondly if it can't hold out, a break and retest short. That's it really. There's not that many levels, and everything's doing very similar things. Okay, oil's a bit better. So, you know, we talked about this head and shoulders. A head and shoulders pattern here, I think there was. You could say that's a head and shoulders pattern, and then a break, and we retested that area. It's subjective to how you look at it. You could say that's one as well, but we didn't get the break and retest on that. We just gapped down. So anyway, if we're looking for a short, which is what we're going with a trend, this point of control, lots of volume in that area, happens to be the neckline area as well for that kind of head and shoulders pattern, and also a good area to watch for rejection. $70 exactly. A few reasons: the 200 moving average will probably drift down to be in that region. We've got the point of control in that region, big area of confluence as well, and we've yet to retest that area since we've broken it. So I quite like 70 as a rejection. I'm going to put an alert in, and then bounce wise, took a couple of bounces around there. Doesn't really line up with much. A little bit of confluence. Now we can, let's keep with the recent period. So let's watch yesterday's low for potential bounce. Could see an inverse head and shoulders pattern here. Not the greatest one. With the neckline potentially going like that. Watch for the bounce down at 68, or the break and retest short, and that'll continue the trend down. Let's look on the daily as well. Here we go. This is a better picture to see. So on the daily, we can see we've been holding this wedge formation for several months now, and we're starting to narrow in at the end. So we tested the bottoms of this a few times, we tested the tops a few times as well. Yeah, let's watch rejection there. If we lose this level, let's watch for the break and retest into that trend line, and really the only bounce place is 66, this area here, and that's the last couple of pivots. So you could watch this entire region for a bounce. So that's our next area, 66 to 67 for a bounce. Gold, there's a comment that says, should I buy Bitcoin or should I wait? I wouldn't like to say whether to buy or not. If it's me right now, I'm selling my Bitcoin. So I'm doing the opposite to what everyone else is doing. You don't want to be one of the bag holders left up there with Bitcoin when everyone else is selling. And I'll come to Bitcoin in a second and show you the volume that's going on. Okay, so quickly, gold. We've got this nice place here. I think right now is a good area to try and find a bounce. Bottom tail, reduced volume on the pullback down as well, showing a bit of weakness down here. We've got this area of confluence as well, bottoms of these pivots here, tops of these pivots here as well. Potentially watching this area for a bounce. It's a zone, don't forget, so when we're watching these areas, we're watching it as a zone, not a line. That's why I got my line down there, to just draw my attention if we get there. If this candle sets up with a bottom tail like this, you could potentially watch for the break and retest. Long, let's see what this looks like on the 60-minute, 1 hour. Okay, so first of all, potentially we're seeing the left shoulder, the head, and if this sets up a right shoulder, that's a change of trend pattern. You know, we just talked about this. I like these patterns, and that's why I like to see if I can catch them early, because then you can prepare for it. If that is the case, then we've got the neckline, so which is the yesterday's high. So if we do create this pattern, break and retest yesterday's high long. If we don't, and we're just purely coming down and just putting in new lows and new lower lows and lower highs, then we can watch for the bounce off that trend line. Or we can watch for a double bottom of the pre-market low, and obviously if we lose that area, then we watch for the retest. We're in a downtrend on gold at the moment. You know, it's been very strong, but we are in a bit of a downtrend, so we've got to favour the trend. if we can get over this area, then potentially we could look for the break and retest. Maybe watch break and retest a pre-market high as well, but that's higher risk because we're in a downtrend. I prefer the break and retest of pre-market low because it goes with the current trend. RTY is looking pretty strong still. Point of controls down here, so we can watch this region. Let's get rid of some of these trend lines. We don't need all these anymore. I will at some point tidy up this chart. So we did have the fibs, let's get rid of that as well. So like that area there, that's a good area for a bounce. What's that, 23.92 down to 2400. So watch that area for a bounce, and then we've got the previous all-time high at 23.40. Notice though, if we do come down there, lack of volume in this area. We don't have any volume until we get back down into this 2300 area, and that's where these last two pivots were, and we've got lots of pivots there as well, which will explain why the volume's coming into that area. So we can watch 2300 for the bounce if we get down there. Otherwise we can watch for the retest of these two pivots as well. I'll just zoom in a bit. So these two pivots here, we can watch for the bounce, and that's kind of where we are pre-market high, 2420 down to 2400. This entire zone is a big zone, so you've got to be hard trying to find it. We've got to try and find a reversal in that area. But break and retest of pre-market high into new all-time highs looks pretty reasonable for today. And that's it really. Don't really like many shorts. YM, this is the Dow Jones again. Looking pretty strong, big push up, sideways. Notice how when we had this big push up, we moved far away from the 50 moving average, which is this red line, and then we had over 2 days, plenty of time to come back. Look what happens as soon as we touched it, boom, push back up again. So we're now resting for a bit, coming back to the 50 moving average, and we could see a bit of a push up as well, but watch for the break and retest of 44,500, which is where we are now, pre-market high, into the new all-time highs. And then if we pull back, 44,200, or 4400 is my preferable place because it's a round number as well for the bounce. And then other levels we can cross that bridge if we get closer to that. And now Bitcoin, as I've just stated a few minutes ago, I've taken some profits on Bitcoin. I've not got my out. In fact, I can do that now. Took some profit up here. It's about 74, I think it was, 75, around about there. I was tempted to take some more outs today when I was up here. We're really extended, and I might do that. In fact, no, I've totally forgotten. Last night I did actually take some profit as well. I took, and it was around about here last night as well, and basically I took off 50% here and then another 50% of what I'd left, so 25% of my position up here as well. So I got about a third of my position left, and it's either going to run with my third and hit that 100,000, we're so close to it, and then I'll probably take the rest of it off and wait for a pullback, or at least leave 5% in there. But the idea is giving myself small profits, leaving a bit in there, so if it does run, I don't have FOMO. Again, I said I'll show you the volume coming in. Look at this volume coming in right now. Last time I took profits, we had volume coming in as well, just there. And you know, you're going to get volume on a breakout. This has been a long time going, this breakout. So we've been running along this channel for some time. You can see we've clearly been holding this channel. There's a massive big bullish pattern. I think you remember from yesterday, got this cup and handle pattern. That's the cup, this is the handle, and then finally we broke out. Look at that, perfect double bottom on the trend line as well. Break and retest. Market's open now, so I'll be quite quick. And then we pulled back, retested that region again, so plenty of times to add, which I did add at that point, and then and loads of times to take profit. So me, I won't buy anything up here at all. I'm looking to take profits, not get into it, because if this pulls back, you know, we don't know, it might pull back and might see it make new all-time highs, But if you're buying up there and then it pulls right back, you're going to be holding for a long time. You're going to have all that anguish and all that pain of holding a red trade. And basically, now's not the time to buy. That's my opinion. It's not financial advice. You know, I've got these levels. Keep an eye on this stream every day, because if it pulls back down to these areas, then I'll be adding in. I've got alerts sitting down here at 50,000, 60,000. So I'm watching for these areas for a bounce. And I'd love to see it come all the way back down into this region again. Look at that, that's where all the volume is right now. So if it does get back down to there and we have a bit of a crypto, what's it called, a crypto winter, I'll be looking to top back up again. Do exactly what I did when I was down here last time. Just add and add and add. And you can see from this chart as well where all the add-ins been. You know, all of the hedge funds and the smart money, that's where their volume is down here, not up here. So you know, up here is where they're selling to people holding. Down here is where they're making their positions. Right, that's it. Thank you for watching. I'll be back live tomorrow, and on my other channel I've got the live stream of order flow, which looks a bit like this. And you can see there's a bit of a divergence right now, so I'm